Mswati inkosi ithula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yedenza bakhe
Sotla mahle sinamukela ehlelweni lwangalesihlanu kusile breakfast show sephetha liviki sile phetha nje liviki lethu sile phetha ngegratitude lenkulu cala nje sibhekisa emazulwini sibonga Jesu Kristu kuthi nalomhla ekuseni siyavuka singilabaphilile sethembe ukuthi ongemaswati kanjalo sethembe futhi ukuthi nempela sonto yethu sisayicala itaba ngilebusisekile naleyo lephephile lokunenge kuphepha kutaw informat incomo lesitawuthi thatha kuyo lempela sonto lokukhulu kakhulu lesikuthanda ukukhumbuta emaswati ukuthi naba labathanza kujabula banathe naku lokuhlukile lokubese kubenda bayathakasa bakunathe bakhumbule ukuthi akamele bese bathi ichubela tincola nangabe ke utawuthatha leso sinqumo sekuthi utawuhamba uye kuyawunatha tshwala siyethemba lokuthi utawucasha itekisi noma utawuba nemuntu longanatha utakuchubela leyo moto asesabela wena kakhulu kulimala kwakho sesabela labanye longakhanza ukuthi uyabalimata la mgwaqweni wena ungabe sowufesa nje ama consequences akho sesesabela nangu lotawube innocent siyacela bongosi ukuthi sisangena kuphela sonto lokho sikuthathe seriously. We are also learning there's going to be some international events around the sporting activities. You will remember in this very program we did host an interview with the As Eventful Minds about the Winter International Basketball Tournament. It officially kicks off today. Ni becwayise bo bangani ben labadlali basketball labaqhamuka kulamanye amave ukuthi kangwane kuyaboshwana mangabe nje utawuna satshwala bese uchuba imoto utathanza ungasakhona ikudlala leyo game lo featurishwe kuyo the next day ngoba utabe sawulele ekhulu kuthu uyawuphuma ngekusa kwangemsombuluko so siyacela nje lo ukuthi lelo livangeli silihambise embili kuyo impela sonto. A very good morning indeed. The program today has a lot on the agenda for you. At first we want to really understand the ICT sector and some of its solutions that it can bring to remedy the youth unemployment crisis in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Sakile Mamba is a founder of a sports online gaming platform called Crazy 8. His ambitions is to grow his business and employ many Maswati at Inzabeni Tabo Innovation at Inzabeni Daga ICT. We're excited to host him in studio. Kutsi atawsi chazela kutsi yena ukutsatwa in gangaga na letoke ma enablers lakhona empilweni yakhe sethembe ukuthi labanye abantu labasha labana the same ambitions batawufunza kuye nalabanye nje labangabese ke bathola emathuba ekucasheka emabusiness la kanjena nakhona batawuthola leyo confidence leyo. We're going to be in conversation with him first and then we do want to speak to Thabile Ngosi who is a director at Tiko letemcebo phansi nemandla sibuka iSadak Energy Week le tawuba semnyakeni lotako ngenyanga ya March tawukhumbula ukuthi Nzabeni takusihlwa tangalesithathu kambe nekusa kwanga lesine nanathi nje sidifunzile lapha kwakusile ukuthi imhlonishwa umvane Nkosi longokhela longiyoke indvuna yalo litiko laka energy uteke yona inzabe ukuthi le summit lemcwa kakhulu lena letawusita ukuthi livela kangwane likhone kusoma abahlanye imali liphindze libakhombise ema projects lesinawo kangwane within the energy sector but not only that, as well as improving the projects that we have, njengoba vele sihlale sithi catsha silivela kangwane ukuthi energy yonke yethu i-renewable. How do we continue to improve that? How do we improve our solar grids ukuthi akhone nawo kuba sustainable, tindzaba tema-battery atawukhona ukuthi astorishe leyo energy leyo kutaba naleyo sustainability. Thabile Ngosi will be in conversation in the studio. Above and beyond that, we host Mluleki Ndwandwe, who is a co-founder of the Nurses Orders Likuma neLisango. Bafuna kufaka bantu labasha posisi besilisa bonke babe segumeni nasesangweni ngekwehlukana kwabo bafundzise nganako labakubita ngesicubulo sabo bathi the power of choice, emandla ekwakuthi ube nesinqumo, naleso sinqumo leso ke ama consequences aso leso sinqumo leso. Batabe banetikhulumi ke letimcoka kakhulu Mfundo Dlamini lo watiwa ngekwakuthi ululeka abantu besilisa na Clement Dlamini long lecturer UNESCO aphinze akhoshumayela aphinze aluleke abantu besilisa bosisi batabe belulekwa yindvuna umhlonishwa Savannah Maziya Impunga lo champion ke naye who has achieved quite a lot in her personal life as well as in governance. Utabe akhutsata bosisi kuthi ngiphi inqumo lokufuna batithathe kude batawuba njengaye. See, that's the agenda, very packed, very insightful. At the very same time, we hope that you stay with us to enjoy all those conversations. For now, we'll go for a net break. Nasibuya sitambuka ndzabate Eswatini.
Attention retailers, importers, clearing agents and customs brokers. All television sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini now require mandatory ESTVA authorization before customs clearance. No clearance without valid ESTVA import permit. Don't risk delays at the border. Submit your application 24 to 48 hours before your shipment arrives. We process complete applications in just 1 to 2 working days. Our QR coded permits make the verification quick and easy. Always double check your HS codes and quantities for smooth compliance. The process is simple. Step 1. Submit your completed application form. Annex A with product line items for TVs, decoders, and commercial invoice. Step 2. Eswatini TV reviews and approves. Step 3. Make payment and complete verification. Step 4. Receive your permit. Step 5. Clear customs smoothly at the border. Make sure you have all your required documents, a completed application form, Annex A detailing your product line items, commercial invoice, valid TV retailer license, and letter of authority if applicable. Our permits feature QR codes for easy border verification. For assistance, email us at license@eswatinitv.co.sz or call our help desk. Apply before your shipment arrives. Ensure compliance and avoid delays. Remember, all TV sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini must have a valid ESTVA import permit. Thank you. Act now.
Tindzaba Swati bafundzi labasithupha betikolo letahlukene embabane batfole umfundzate wekuyomelela live lakangwane eAmerica. Lo mfundzate wetfulwe ngumasipala wasembabane lapho labafundzi batawuhlanganyela nalamanye emave bakhombise amakhono abo kanye nemihambo nemasiko esiswati.
Ucela ngikubongela nabantu abethu labasembabane. Lithuba likavami leli. Uma uthola lithuba leli njengaleli nebatali benazange sebalithola nabo teacher benazange sebalithola, so kude namunye lithuba lawalithola lelithole namhla nini lokuchaza ukuthi use lethuba leyo profitable bese bakushilo ke labanye lengikuphindele bakuthi lembili what is expected of you kwami nje ukuthi i-council embabane iyangikhipha nihambe ne-America nise-represent anikameli thina kuphela ke la senimilele eMaswati manifika embili ke ngoba funa ukubona abantu abaswatini banjani sicela babafundzela kini sike sabathumela abantwana angathi igroup esingakhi lapha bese utangisithe esingakhi group yes 21 kude lokube sesakuva lecamale ngisho
Sakhile Shabang lokhulumele i-US Embassy uthi bamfana bangumlibalo ya embili ngako emaphuba lafana nalawa kumele bawasebenzise kahle uphindze wabafisela nelihambo loluhle naloligcwele tibusiso.
Go there, do what you're doing here for you to have been selected into the program. That's it. But again, come back to Eswatini and do what? Implement what you have seen. That's it. My hope is that when you come back, you will use a platform like this one to start programs.
Lokhulumele batali Themba Masuku ubonge masipala welidolobha laseMbabane ngekuniketa abafundi lithuba lelifana naleli.
As a city council we are helping us in educating this. We wouldn't have taken these children to the global world to be able to share experiences with other students. Keep up the good work and also the good conduct. I know that you have been nominated because of your good conduct. Please keep it up.
Labafundi batawuhamba kuyomelela live laseSwatini baphindze bahlanganyele nalamanye emave bakhombise imihambo nemasiko ngemgcibelo mhla ka-11 kuyo inyanga lesedulu. Kubika Nombendolo Shabalala eMbabane.
Njengobe ti-70 tahulumende tilinze khola imali lengetiwe belitiko letempilo ngaphansi kweluhlangothi lwetifo letingathathelwana kanye nalababukeke kuphila kwengqondo bathanza kucwayisa ti-70 tahulumende ngekubaluleka bekuphatha kahle imali kanti-ke baphindza bagcizelela ukuthi ti-70 tilungiselele kahle kude titawukhona kugwema kungena etinkingeni. Kutemidlalo yenyukile imali yemchutselwano wemidlalo weligaluva i-FNB Sunshine Tour Eswatini Challenge yalomnyaka kusuka ku2 million emalangeni kuya ku2.5 million emalangeni. Lokukhula ke kwale mali kuvakele ngemphathi walelibhange Thokozani Dlamini uma kusukunyiswa ngalokusemthethweni le challenge yalonyaka. Kusukunyiswe ke indvuna yetemidlalo kuleli umhlonishwa Bonganzima eRoyal Swazi Spa ezulwini. Ngakonza batethu teswati sita ubahlola emarket testa ubuya sicocisane naSakhile Mamba.
To all the viewers of Eswatini TV in the kingdom and beyond. Eswatini TV is regulated by the Eswatini Communications Commission through the Broadcasting Code and Broadcasting Guidelines. Under these instruments, the station commits to broadcasting information and news that have been fact-checked, programs and content in respectful language with no elements of hate speech, violence or sexual activity. If you hear any unsuitable content on this channel, you have a right to voice your complaints with the station management. Should you not be satisfied with the response or action taken, you can escalate your matter to the Communications Commission at PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Call 2406 7000 or send an email to info@esccom.org.za. For more information, visit www.esccom.org.za.
kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky it means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sende ukukhicita lokusembili.
Welcome back. The Kingdom of Eswatini continues to grapple with one of its biggest socio-economic challenges, and that is youth unemployment. And yet, even within that reality, a new generation of young innovators is demonstrating that technology can be more than a tool for consumption, but it can also be a platform that is used for creating businesses, generating jobs, and competing in the digital economy. Now, the global gaming industry is now worth hundreds of billions of dollars, with African developers increasingly entering that space through locally built platforms and, of course, digital solutions. While the Kingdom of Eswatini's ICT sector is still developing, young entrepreneurs are beginning to explore opportunities in gaming, in software development, as well as the digital entertainment that have traditionally been dominated by international players. Now, one such entrepreneur is Kusile Mamba, who is the founder of the Crazy 8 electronic gaming sports platform, a locally developed platform featuring games such as Crazy 8, Casino, Draft, and of course a competitive tournament system that is also embedded within that platform. This morning we explore what it takes to build a digital gaming platform here in the Kingdom of Eswatini, as well as the opportunities that the gaming economy presents for young people, and whether innovation in ICT can become part of the solution to the unemployment crisis. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mamba, and welcome to the program. I beg your pardon. Maybe before we get into the platform itself, just paint a picture for the viewer, paint a picture for me as well of the gaming industry, because globally it's a multi-billion-dollar sector. But where does Eswatini fit in that landscape?
Sawubona Sifisa, ngiyabonga kungamukela kuleli hlelo. About the gaming industry, njengoba bososhito ukuthi a lot of the players in the space akusiwe Maswati or tingapani te Maswati. In fact, akusiwe ngisho ama-African, yabo. Nawubuka nje the gaming vendors lakhona throughout Africa, most of the time asebenzisa games that they license from companies from Europe as far as Ukraine. Ndakubekisela nje ngalele popular kakhulu ya Spribe e-Ukraine ngishindiza. Sengikhulumela ke nalamanye ama-games nje la general langafake nale gaming aspect to it nje. Electronic games, most of the developers and the studios are overseas. Bancane kakhulu laba kule continent yethu laba participate bakhe lama solutions lafana nala.
But you believe Eswatini has a seat at that table? Absolutely.
I think the thing about the software industry is that anyone from anywhere can sit in front of a computer and come up with a solution that they can deploy globally. Ala kona kona. So I believe Eswatini is uniquely positioned to take advantage of this. One, because sinayo le infrastructure, we have good internet, sinayo nyuvesi le faka ama-programs lafana nabo computer science yabo ekwaluseni nabo lumkokwini nabo Christian. So it's a matter of kuthi thina si-youth sikhuthalele kudenda letinvolved yabo. Yebo kona kufuneka ngazuthi ungatimisela, utinike isikhathi, ube ne-passion nako, ube ne-discipline. And futhi kuthatha isikhathi akusinva overnight, because these are big solutions. but ke ngiyathemba ukuthi productivity leletwa into letfana njengabo AI itasita kakhulu.
Yeah, and you mentioned these are big solutions, and part of what we need a solution for is the crisis of unemployment, particularly youth unemployment. I do realize when I do my research on a lot of gaming platforms and a lot of ICT developments that most of them are spearheaded by young people. And so it begs the question, if we have a youth unemployment crisis, and yet we have so many young people, and technology is so vast, do you believe it can really remedy this youth unemployment crisis?
Yes, I do. The reason I say this is because the gaming platform I have is hardly a year. Since it's been out to the public, so isaqhathuta kube ngumntwana ngithusenga khansi nekhansi yabo, but the workload I have already yabona ithinga ngabe senginalo umunye umuntu flese ngibambisana naye yabo ukuthi ngabe siyayiphusha ngabe siyasebenta yabo ngingedwa nje ngibuke kuyimarketer ngingedwa ngibuke kudeveloper ngingedwa ngibuke ku-deployer, like what kind of infrastructure I use, DevOps, different pathelana nabo cloud computing lapho ngideploya khona the software. So ngimuntu munye ngenda umsebenzi uyabona lama roles emangakho already langwabalile. Kube le revenue seyikhona kahle. Ngabe sengibacashile labanye. Or at the very least, if business facilities kahle timvo letfana nabo venture capital even lethu uyabona ngabe sengibacashile labanye.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, but do you believe the soil is fertile enough? Is the ground conducive enough for an ordinary Leswati who is not particularly privileged, for lack of a better word, explore all these things? I'm not insinuating that you're privileged, but I'm just, because my job is to also speak for the underserved communities, for the people in the margins, for the people in the remote areas, but who are just as passionate as you are.
Mhlambe kuze ngikuphendule kahle kufuna uqala ungidefinele kahle lo underprivileged.
Yeah. So someone who doesn't have in their close proximity a computer. The reality is that the Ministry of ICT and the minister herself has said verbatim that they want to increase the access to these platforms, and part of their drive kumikisa Wi-Fi etinkhundleni nekumikisa ema-computer. While that is still ongoing, do you believe that someone who is just as passionate, should they access those computers that the minister says they want to submit to Lemakai and the Wi-Fi, they can, as soon as possible, get into this?
Ngicazanga ukuthi nasekafikile lama computer yabona naseyifikile le computer nale Wi-Fi, the sky is the limit. In fact, it's not even the limit. You can go beyond that. But nayise ngafiki vele lo msebenzi lona udzinga ukuthi umende ngecomputer.
Okay.
Kude lenye indlela udzinga le computer and udzinga le internet, because lama resources lo adzingako onke utawatfola la kule internet. Now as soon as possible ngakhutsata now sengacali nje noma uthi background ukuthi beketela. It's not going to be something lo icala namuhla uyende kusasa, but ngekutimisela ngingatsho nje ukuthi tinika umnyaka yabona to learn ngoba kutimvo longayenda ude lwati layo. I understand akumcoka ukuthi ucala uinvest kule skill what lokuthiwe ndani before ucale kuyenda lento, but ke ezofunza obviously you'll be working on small projects yabo ukuthi sengakhelo kwenda so eventually those skills they compound and ugcina so wenda tinfo leti more interesting tinkhulu.
The truth is we are seeing a lot of growth in fintech, software development and gaming in Africa. And perhaps to also piggyback on the same question, as an ICT practitioner yourself, do you believe there's enough support for a capacity innovation?
Okay. Angeke ngiliqathanise live lethu nalamanye mave, but kube bengingaliqathanisa. Bengingasho ukuthi siyashoda kakhulu. Njengoba bese ngibalile uyabona nje ungayina khashana uye eScotland la ngeshe South Africa. Makhelwane unabo venture capital njengoba bese ngishilo uyabona. Unema grants la qhamuka kubo hulumende abo science and innovation timfa kanjalo. Kuningi nje ikhona nale culture yekuthi yabo umuntu nje na usowende something yabona nakabona okay ine potential lemvo yakho yabo invest as a private investor yabo because nalabantu banayo mhlambe nale capital lehleli nje labangayi investor. Angisho ukuthi mhlambe eMaswati ke langa investor privately but kude le culture leyo lakithi kanti imcoka le capital kuphusha lo msebenzi uyabo. Ngisho njalo nje but ke ngiyacabanga ukuthi mhlambe ngekuhamba kwesikhathi kutawulunga. Encenye nami ngithi kude ama private investor encenye ngimlolo ngakulabantu lokufuna ngabe ngiyabantu. Maybe I'm not positioned in the right circles but nje sekuthi vele na uyakulamanye emave akudingi ukuthi uze wathi lo muntu na ungena nje ku internet to search utayibona le institution lekhona uyabona le taxita ke ukuthi uthole capital ephusha lo msebenzi ofana nalo. Ngiyabekisa nje uyithingelana imali bese ngishida ukuthi lo msebenzi omkhulu uyabo uyathinga ukuthi ungasebenzi wethu usebenze nalabanye and umuntu angeke asebenzele lito most of the time because nayo netinkinga takhe uyabona ufuna kusebenzela ukuthi ondla umndeni wakhe naye nje athuthukise. Kuthingeka ukuthi uhost ngiyabekisa ama solutions eICT ungathostela ku computer yakho endlini la uhlala khona uyabona but kwendeka nakhamba gesi. I understand. Cima yonke lento. So you need ama services lafana nabo Google Cloud nabo AWS lapho khona utawusebenzisa ama computer abo ku hosta le solution yakho because they have 99.9% uptime according to ama agreements abo now uqala kusebenza nawo.
Right.
But they charge you money for that. Yabo. Timvele kanjalo kumaketha uyabona noma isolution yakhe ingaba inhle kangakanani yabo nangabe awukhoni kumaketha noma kude umuntu lo yatiko ngayo it's as good as non-existent uyabona. So nito ke leti nginga lesihlangabetana nato le.
Perhaps on the topic of VCs, I've done extensive research on my own, in my personal time, and I learned that we do not have venture capitalists in Eswatini, but I found that we only have one, Nayo, that is it was in its startup phases a year and a half ago. It's called Pinakwe & Co. Maybe my job there will be connecting you with those guys and perhaps you can work something out. But how do you assess the work that is being done by the RSTP? I know they have innovation hubs, and do we need more of that as well?
It's interesting because I've worked with the RSTP for quite some time.
That's great.
In fact, nje kusasa kufuna ngibabone for something. I think Shembayazam. I'm not saying there's nothing they can do to improve upon. There's a lot. Njengoba bese ngubekisele nje the way lamanye amava sebenda ngayo yabona bayathinga nabo lokuthi aligner with the standard of South Africans all the way to Americans in order to push startups to where they need to be on the global stage. Because akusithi startups zakho siphelela kangwane. So they need to copy a lot of those strategies that those people use. Ngiyakubekisela nje kuna Y Combinator in the USA. It's an incubator because RSTP also runs an incubator. That's where they incubate these startups. It's an incubator in the YSA. It's responsible for big companies like Stripe. It's a global payments giant. Airbnb, baqala khona, Coinbase, a lot more. DoorDash. So they really need to, I think they need to copy what those people are doing. To get the kind of success.
Maybe you could be our DoorDash yourself. Maybe let's come back to your platform now. Just tell us about what you saw as a need, first and foremost, to create this platform. And maybe you also do want to touch on responsible use and regulation on that platform. And just tell us about this platform.
Okay, so Crazy 8 is a gaming platform, njengoba bososhito. Inkinga bengiyibona lidlange kakhulu la kangwane. There are these gaming platforms, yabona. But I do feel that to some extent, some certain extent, Liswati is being taken advantage of. The reason I'm saying this is every now and again, ufunza titori leti mangalisago kubo newspaper ukuthi hawu sibani solahlekelwe ngimalini sibani unjonje emalini wayodlala lapha zama kulungisa inkinga takhe letinguthi wayiluza yonke kwayona leyo ngiyabekisa. So nangithatha ngifunza itori efana naleto ngiyabona ukuthi no kune opportunity la yabo because kwecala nje if utawuthi umuntu akathathe i-chance yema odds langawadi uyabona which could be 1 to 50 or 1 to a million ukuthi mhlambe angawina something uyabona loyo muntu loyo umfundzisa ukuthi into empilweni or they can get something for nothing basically, and which is what they are trying to do. So ngabona it's no, you know what, why don't we go back to those games we used to play, whereby ngiyabekisa njenge Crazy 8 if mina ngidlala nawe uyabona i-odd yethi uwine is 1 is to 2 yabo. It's a 50% chance yabo because it's either wina mina noma kwina wena uyabona, and lokudlala kwethu is not dependent on an algorithm lengayadi ukuthi ikwinsana kanjani uluzana kanjani yabo. Uyawubona nje sowini lokudlala kwethu lana kudependa ukuthi yebo kona lama card award ukuthi utawuthola lanjani ama card nawucala, but it brings in skill. You can start with a bad hand, but with your skill and determination and prior practice, you can turn that situation around, which is the kind of mentality we want with our youth. Yeah.
So where do people find this platform?
It's on crazy8.live, crazy8.live.
Crazy8.live. Sakile Mamba, founder of this Crazy 8 gaming sports platform online, crazy8.live.
Crazy8.live.
Sure, thank you so much, Sakile Mamba. Sita wahlola at market test. We are talking about masinyane.
To connect your smart TV, start by connecting your TV aerial or antenna to the port at the back of your smart TV. Step 2. Switch on your TV, press the menu button and navigate to settings. Step 3. From the settings menu, select channels and input and press OK. Choose Channels, then select Channel Scan. Step 4. In the Channel Scan menu, select Manual Scan. Set the frequency to 570,000 kHz, then press Search. Note: ensure the tuner mode is set to antenna, not cable, and the channel type is set to digital, not analog. Happy viewing!
Right, welcome back. The Kingdom of Eswatini has officially launched the preparations to host the 2027 SADC Sustainable Energy Week. It is a big milestone that places the Kingdom of Eswatini at the center of Southern Africa's sustainable energy agenda. Now, the event is expected to bring together governments, investors, utilities, development partners, as well as innovators to discuss energy security, renewable energy, regional electricity markets, and financing the continent's energy transition. Now, hosting the event also presents Eswatini with an opportunity to showcase its renewable energy ambitions, as well as attract big investment into the sector. To unpack what this means for the Kingdom of Eswatini, we are now joined by the Director in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy, Thabile Ngosi. Welcome to the program, Thabile. Very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us here. Maybe let's start here. Eswatini officially going to, has begun the preparations to launch the 2027 SADC Sustainable Energy Week. What does hosting this event mean for Eswatini?
Okay, thank you very much for having us in the show. And maybe let me start by mentioning that the launch happened yesterday at the Happy Valley, and it was done by His Royal Highness Prince Longokela, who is the Minister for Natural Resources and Energy. And we really appreciate everyone that participated, that supported the launch. As a country, we are proud to have been identified as the next host for the SADC Sustainable Energy Week that will take place in the year 2027. And to us, this demonstrates His Majesty's vision of building a prosperous nation and also positioning Eswatini as a leader in issues of sustainable energy development.
Yeah, perhaps a person wants to ask why Eswatini was chosen first and foremost, and some of the responsibilities that come with that honor.
Okay, thank you very much. The SADC Sustainable Energy Week, I must mention that it is a regional event. It is a SADC regional event, and it was approved by the ministers responsible for energy in the year 2024. And then the inaugural one took place in Botswana in the year 2025. And then in 2026, it was happening in Zimbabwe. 2027, it is Eswatini. And we were selected because as a country, we have demonstrated leadership in terms of advancing renewable energy issues, issues of sustainable energy, issues of improvements in energy efficiency. And we are also talking of issues of access to modern energy. As a country, we've demonstrated that we have or are working towards reaching the milestone of universal access to energy by 2030. I can say that currently we're at 88% access. So
that's big,
yes. So all these achievements made us to be chosen as a country to host the 2027 Sustainable Energy Week. And another aspect that is being considered is the facilities. Are we going to have a venue that will accommodate? Because the event is a very big event, and the participants are more than 800. So we needed to demonstrate that we have the required facilities for hosting such a big event.
So the ICC fitting perfectly there.
Definitely, and we are very happy that the ICC is ready now, and it is going to be our venue where we will host.
Indeed, and perhaps you can also brief us on some of the overarching objectives of the SADC Sustainable Energy Week and why it's such an important regional platform.
Yes, this is a big event. It is not only a SADC event. Yes, it is hosted in partnership with SADC and also the SADC SACRI, which is the SADC Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. So it brings together energy ministers. All the SADC energy ministers attend this meeting. It brings together investors. It brings together even the academia, the researchers, the utilities, the regulators. They come together and they dialogue or discuss on issues of sustainable energy development. And key issues that are discussed there are issues of mobilizing investment for priority projects for the region, and also specific to, we will be discussing also priority projects, investment for priority projects for Eswatini. There are ministerial deliberations. The ministers deliberate on policy issues and mainly enabling environment for the investments. And they also look into issues of regional integration. Yes, that will facilitate trade, the markets. For instance, we have the Southern African power pool. So there are also technical discussions. There will be panel discussions on key thematic areas. And as a country, we also get the opportunity to showcase our energy projects. The delegates will have the opportunity to do field visits to go see our energy projects.
You speak of mobilizing investments. Quite interesting, because in the backdrop of, I suppose, economic development in Eswatini is another big conference, which is the second leg of the annual investment conference that is soon going to take place, I believe, in 2.5 weeks now. And, when you speak mobilizing investment, His Royal Highness Prince Longo Kela, I saw him on the news clip on Wednesday and Thursday morning on our very own breakfast show that we're in today. Speaking of attracting investment, it is a recurring theme now in conversations around development. What opportunities will investors find in Eswatini's energy sector?
Okay, thank you very much. As I've indicated, Eswatini has got investment-ready projects. So we will be able to showcase our projects. We will be able, there are those projects that we say they are ready to investors, they can finance. So that provides that opportunity for us to, and the investors will be able to see the projects that they could possibly fund for Eswatini and also for even the SADC region, because there are challenges as well in the SADC region where you find that there is inadequate investment for projects. The SADC region in itself has got a supply deficit, but you find that some countries have got excess, but they are unable to share with other countries because of lack of interconnectors infrastructure. So the investment forum that will take place will be able to, here are the projects, and it's sort of like a matching of projects and the relevant investment.
And perhaps on because you speak on something that is very key there, that there's a supply deficit, which is a glaring one and a very true one, but there's also countries who have the supply, but there's a lack of interconnectedness. what are some of the conversations around facilitating that connectedness? Is the AFCFTA enough? Can it remedy this situation? Or what other conversations are being held internally to say, you know what, let's fix this connectedness problem?
Yeah, it's more of integration.
Integration.
The countries coming together. And also presenting regional projects to the investors. I will mention that there is also a fund in the SADC region for infrastructure developments that is recently been established. So it's also for an opportunity for investors to also finance that fund that will facilitate or assist member states to fund the infrastructure projects.
Yeah, and we continue to hear about, and you've mentioned it, the need for energy security. Very, very important. Where does Eswatini stand right now in terms of the electricity generation? I think you mentioned about 88%.
That's access to electricity, yes, connections.
Okay, but where do we stand in terms of electricity generation right now, as well as reducing reliance on imports?
Yeah, so we are working, I must say, very hard to improve energy security for Eswatini. There are projects that are in the pipeline, solar projects, because we have our energy regulator that is procuring those projects from independent power producers. The solar projects, we have about 75 megawatts, and some of these projects have been launched recently. So we also have our sugar companies coming on board for the biomass projects. I think we have about, there is about 40 megawatts biomass, and there will also be an additional 50 megawatts biomass from the sugar companies. We also are expanding our hydro power generation. Yes, there is Lower Makuduza and there is Makuka expansion. So we are working hard, and we're looking at come 2030, at least we should be self-sufficient as a country.
Yeah, I mean, that's very important. I want to ask you on the topic of, you started with renewable energy. It's just the importance of renewable energy and how far we've come as a country in leveraging this opportunity, and what we need to fix, and perhaps what we need to celebrate.
Okay, as a country, I must say that we are currently 100% renewable energy. What is generated locally is renewable energy. So we then import because we cannot meet our energy needs. But what we generate locally is renewable energy. And we have a target as a country of 50% in the energy mix now, because what we import is not from renewable energy. I've said that what we produce locally is 100% renewable. So we're looking at the mix of our electricity needs to say 50% renewable energy. The projects that I have mentioned are renewable energy.
Lower Makuduza is renewable energy.
There is solar, yes, and the biomass is also renewable.
Wow.
And this has, I must say, has provided an opportunity to the private sector, the independent power producers, to invest in power generation, because renewable energy is the resources that we have, the solar, the hydro, the biomass, is resources that we have locally. So it has provided that opportunity to investors to invest in local generation. There are challenges, but I think there are also solutions, because renewable energy is intermittent. Aihlali ikhona. For instance, at night, the sun will not be there, and you find that it then interferes with the grid. You want power, but the power is not there because the resource is not available. But there are solutions in terms of, for instance, having a battery storage to keep that energy to be released.
Which can also be powered by...
You have that solar, and when...
It powers the battery, then it stores it like a UPS?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you get to use that energy.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what is now available. And I think as a country, we are also exploring that, to say our renewable energy projects, like the solar projects, should be augmented with the battery storage. Fortunately, we are seeing the costs slowly coming down.
Oh, okay. So
because that is what was a hindrance.
What is the reason behind the cost reduction?
It's technology advancements.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
mainly
good.
technology advancements.
One wants to ask, just I think logic suggests that these are mostly optimal in summer and not so much in winter. And so I suppose in winter that is where we mostly need the augmentation of batteries as you propose.
Yeah, it's mainly when there is cloud cover, when the sun is not there. Because I think the technology has advanced to such an extent that as long as there are rays, the sun, because it's to do with not so much of the intensity, but as long as there are rays of the sun, then you find that you are able to generate. The technologies have improved so much such that even in winter, it should not be that much of a problem. You would be able to generate.
You've answered the question around, not only the question, the urgency around integration right now to remedy the interconnectedness sort of crisis. But I suppose this also gives us an opportunity to strengthen cooperation as SADC member states. Is that going to be an intentional thing? To say, let's strengthen our cooperation just as much as we urgently need to strengthen our integration?
Of course, that's what is also being, I think, done. We cooperate on a number of important energy issues. We have the SADC Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency that I have mentioned. That is responsible for assisting member states on issues of energy efficiency, issues of renewable energy in terms of policy development, because that's where that we have to cooperate in terms of making sure that our policies are the right ones for investment. And we also cooperate, there is now the establishment of the fund for, it would be a fund for all the member states that they will access for infrastructure development. And SADC encourages that we come up with regional projects. You find that countries that are able to come together and work on an interconnector, then they should be able to do that. Eswatini is part of the Southern African Power Pool. I think it's also one of the cooperation vehicles.
Yeah, maybe I should prophesy now that Eswatini will chair that fund. That's my hope at the very least.
We receive.
Yeah. I think we deserve it. I think they will be charmed by the ICC and the projects that you will be showcasing. But of course, beyond policymakers, Tabile, and the investors themselves, how is local business? Because they watch a lot of our programs and they watch with a keen ear and eye. Our entrepreneurs, our SMEs, how are they benefiting from hosting this high-profile event?
Okay, thank you. Everyone is indeed going to benefit in this very big event.
Right.
Because it is positioning Eswatini as a hub for sustainable energy dialogue and also innovation. So businesses, and I would encourage them, there is an opportunity to partner with the ministry on sponsorship. Yes, so they should consider partnering with the ministry, because that will then allow them to not only to access the meeting, but as well as to be there and showcase their projects, showcase their the local manufacturing, the skills development, showcase their products, and they will get the opportunity to interact with the international partners. Yes, and knowledge sharing will also be there. So would really invite Maswati businesses to partner. There will also be spillover effects. This is a big event I've mentioned. It's going to be attended by over 800 people. So we are seeing a spillover to the hospitality industry as well. The flights, the transport, hotels and restaurants will also benefit.
800 people.
Yes.
Hotels will be fully booked, I can imagine. And of course, the Eswatini corridor, I can already imagine what's going to be happening there.
Yes.
Youth unemployment, I love asking this one, and another conversation in this very program this morning, we addressed that very conversation around the youth unemployment. It has become a crisis in Eswatini and a major challenge. Will this Energy Week bring opportunities for young professionals, innovators, as well as entrepreneurs?
Of course, yeah.
How?
I think one of the objectives of this forum is to talk on issues of inclusive and just energy transition, and the deliberations will be around the involvement of the youth, the involvement of the women. Yeah, but as we prepare and even during the hosting of the event, we want to believe that the youth will also be participants. They will be brought in to participate in the events.
Yeah, that's very important. And perhaps you mentioned that you are also intentional about women, part of the what do you call it?
Just energy
transition. That's what it's termed. Climate change is reshaping a lot of the policies that are there in energy, and that is not only in Africa, that is across the globe, really. One wants to ask how Eswatini is then balancing this particular sustainability as well as affordability question that always arises.
Okay, yes, climate change is an issue, and the sector is also affected. So the discussions will also center around those issues of climate change issues. And I think for Eswatini, as I've indicated, we are generating renewable energy, and our target to mitigate on climate change issues is to increase the renewable energy generation and also improve on energy efficiency. We're also looking into issues of clean technologies, especially for cooking, because in as much as we have advanced in electrification, we're at 80%, but I think we're still lagging behind on clean cooking. So we're also promoting issues of clean cooking, for instance, the use of liquefied petroleum gas.
Yeah. What preparations are already underway? Excitement is already really, really high. What preparations are already underway, and what milestones can the public expect between now and the event itself?
Okay, we have set the date.
Okay.
The date is 15 to 19 March 2027. It is going to be a 5-day event.
Okay.
And the event is structured such that the first day will be a high-level opening, and we're going to have the SADC Executive Secretary in attendance, and then the SADC ministers will have that dialogue on enabling policies, enabling environment for investment. In that 5-day, there will be panel discussions, there will be the projects, the exhibitions, and also I must mention then there's going to be awards for excellencies in certain areas of energy, for instance, energy efficiency, excellencies, and the best in energy access issues, and best in or outstanding independent power producers. So we are advancing our preparations, and we will shortly be, now that the launch has taken place, the next step is registration for the event, and we will shortly announce how the registration will be done. Actually, it's a matter of announcing like the vehicle, like the websites where the registration will take place.
Tabitha, thank you for your time. We are looking forward to a lot of investment commitments that are going to be made, good policy outcomes, as we mentioned, some of the challenges, as well as the partnerships, as well as whatever else that may emanate that is going to be good for our energy sector as well as our broader economy. Yes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And I think let me encourage Eswatini to partner with us to deliver this event, and we will be providing information timeously in terms of the preparations, in terms of what the public should expect for participating in this event. So thank you very much.
Can I be the first member of the public to pledge that I will partner with you?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will direct your program and I will moderate some of your sessions.
Wonderful, because we need a lot of partnership, you know. 100%. We need a lot of, and we will issue out the areas where we need the participation.
That's fantastic.
Taken. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to moderating panel discussions with some of the SADC member states as well as their excellencies there, as well as directing the program. That is Thabile Nkosi, a very important development in the Kingdom of Eswatini set for March 2027. Very excited for it. Let's go for a net break. We'll be back shortly.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m, where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Welcome back. Our international news now. The United States launched strikes on Iran early on Wednesday in retaliation for what it said were Tehran's attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran hit back with strikes on Bahrain and Kuwait.
These images show the latest breach of the ceasefire between the US and Iran. US Central Command claims to have hit over 80 targets across Iran, saying that the retaliatory strikes focused on air defense systems, radars, and the small boats used by Iran's Revolutionary Guards.
US Central Command forces have begun launching a series of powerful strikes against Iran to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial shipping crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway.
Iran's state media reported explosions in the southern city of Bandar Abbas, where this video was said to be taken, as well as Qeshm Island and Sirik. The attacks came after the US says Tehran targeted 3 commercial tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Wanting to maintain its hold over the waterway, Iran has expressed anger that some vessels are now taking a route which passes closer to Oman. Iranian officials have replied defiantly. The Speaker of Iran's parliament tweeted that the era of bullying and extortion is over. It leads nowhere. We don't fold. In another measure against Iran, the US also revoked a license that temporarily allowed the sale of Iranian oil.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran has strongly condemned the U.S. Treasury Department's action in revoking the temporary suspension of sanctions on the sale of Iranian oil, describing it as a clear violation of Article 10 of the Memorandum of Understanding.
Iran's deputy foreign minister warned that Tehran would take decisive measures. And early this Wednesday morning, Iran's Revolutionary Guards said they targeted 85 US military sites in Bahrain and Kuwait. Both Gulf countries sounded air raid sirens to warn their citizens of the incoming attacks.
U.S. President Donald Trump said the ceasefire with Iran was over on Wednesday, but left the door open to more talks. This is after fighting fled that's sparked by Iranian attacks on ships in the vital Strait of Hormuz. And I quote, "As far as I'm concerned, it's over." Trump said those words at a NATO summit in Turkey on Wednesday when asked if the truce was intact. He also said, "Alert our wonderful negotiators keep talking if they want, but I don't see it. I don't like these people," he added.
The ceasefire between Iran and the United States has repeatedly been described as shaky, but on Wednesday, comments from President Donald Trump added fresh uncertainty.
As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars.
Trump's comments came amid the second flare-up in fighting between Iran and the US since the two sides signed a memorandum of understanding on the 17th of June. The US says Tehran broke that agreement by firing at 3 commercial tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. In response, US Central Command claims to have hit over 80 targets across Iran, focusing on air defense systems, radars, and the small boats used by Iran's Revolutionary Guards. Iran's state media reported explosions in the southern city of Bandar Abbas, where this video was taken, as well as Keshem Island and Sirik. In another measure, the US also revoked a license that temporarily allowed the sale of Iranian oil. Tehran branded the move, along with continued Israeli attacks on Lebanon, as a violation of the ceasefire. On social media, Iran's parliament speaker wrote, "The era of bullying and extortion is over. It leads nowhere. We don't fold." On Wednesday, the Revolutionary Guards said they fired at dozens of US military facilities in Kuwait and Bahrain. Both Gulf countries sounded air raid sirens to warn their citizens of incoming attacks.
President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that the United States will give a license to Ukraine to manufacture Patriot air defense systems that is going to help counter the Russian missile attacks. A huge coup for Ukraine, which has badly needed the technology for the war now in its 5th year.
He prides himself as a deal maker, but making peace in Ukraine continues to prove elusive for President Donald Trump. And President Volodymyr Zelensky's presence at the NATO summit won't let him forget it. But this time, the tone of their meeting was a break from earlier encounters, which ended in acrimony.
We've actually developed a good relationship. It's hard to believe, right? From the Oval Office to now, I think we've developed a very good relationship. We've settled a lot of wars, and this one is the one that I thought maybe would be the easiest. But Putin's a difficult character, and this guy's a difficult character.
Trump praised Zelensky's willingness to reach a deal on ending the fighting. And in a win for Kyiv, he also said that Washington would give Ukraine the right to make Patriot air defense systems.
One of the things we're going to be talking about is we're going to give a license to you to make Patriots. That's pretty cool, right? This way you can't complain that we're not giving them enough. I'd say make them yourself. We haven't informed the company of that yet, but that'll work out all right.
Russia fired ballistic missiles at Kyiv again overnight, exploiting Ukraine's critical shortage of the US-made air defense interceptors, which are the only weapon in Ukraine's arsenal that can shoot them down. Zelensky has for years been asking for more Patriots, which are in high demand and take a long time to produce, and more recently for a license so that Ukraine can manufacture its own. In a meeting with US senators Wednesday, as well as with the president, Zelensky said air defense was Ukraine's priority, as the tide slowly appears to be turning in Kyiv's favor on the battlefield.
We are trying to move this war to the sky from the battlefield. That's why we now begin to control the battlefield. This is very important.
Moscow has stepped up its air war on Ukraine in recent weeks, as Russia's ground advances have largely stalled, and as Ukrainian attacks on its oil industry have triggered widespread fuel shortages.
Greenlanders attending a traditional kayaking championship in Nuuk rejected the United States President Donald Trump's renewed call for U.S. control of the Arctic island on Wednesday, saying its future should be decided by Greenlanders themselves. Speaking at a NATO summit in Turkey's Ankara, Donald Trump renewed his demand to gain control of the Greenland, a semi-autonomous Danish territory, arguing it was important for the U.S. national security.
It's one of Donald Trump's lingering obsessions, and on Wednesday, the U.S. president once again railed against NATO's refusal to hand over Greenland to Washington.
I'm not happy with NATO because of what they did with Greenland. Greenland is very important for the United States, but it's not important for Denmark. We need it for protection of the world, not just the United States.
The massive island is located at the crossroads of Arctic maritime trade routes, which were recently opened up by melting ice caps, and has been on Trump's radar since 2019. The U.S. president sees the autonomous territory, which is part of Denmark, as vital to his country's security and strategic interests, especially to defend against potential Russian ballistic missiles. But Greenlandic people have repeatedly opposed the U.S. takeover, and suspect Washington of also coveting its vast and largely untapped natural resources.
Greenland is our own land. No one else should decide for us. But he doesn't hear that at all. He only hears what he wants to hear. For example, minerals, oil in East Greenland or something like that.
In January, NATO members signed a framework for a future deal over Greenland, but details remain vague, and the alliance has since continued to back Denmark's sovereignty over the territory, a position reiterated by the country's prime minister on Wednesday.
Greenland has made it clear that they don't want to be part of the United States. We have sovereignty as a kingdom. We will not compromise on this.
Despite budding tensions over Greenland, Wednesday's NATO summit ended on a positive note, with Trump praising the love and unity shown by member states and making no further mention of the Arctic island.
U.S. President Donald Trump threatened on Wednesday to halt all trade with Spain, and this is amid a bitter row over Madrid's defense spending and failure to help Washington with Iran war. Now, Spain is a wasted cause. We do not want to do any trade business with Spain anymore. Those are words of Donald Trump as he arrived at the NATO summit in Ankara.
Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore, by the way. I'd like you to cut it off.
Hours after Donald Trump threatened to cut off all trade with Spain, the country's prime minister said he and the U.S. president had an informal, friendly chat about the World Cup. Later, speaking to reporters, Pedro Sanchez appeared to brush off Trump's threats.
Because, after all, when you step back a bit from these kinds of statements, what you see is that the relationship between the United States and Spain, socially, culturally, economically and politically, is very positive.
Trump has been venting his frustration at NATO countries for not supporting his war in Iran, and Sanchez has been especially critical of the military action and has refused to allow the U.S. to use its military bases. Trump says he's ordered his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, to cut off all trade with Spain for not reaching NATO's defense spending goal of 5%. But experts say in all likelihood, it's an empty threat.
I think the outcome is going to be like we have had in the past, where Trump threatens and nothing happens. So I think that's going to be the end game of this.
For one thing, Spain is part of the EU, and the bloc governs trade. The most recent agreement was finalized just last week, and EU officials say any such move would violate that deal and set off a trade war with the entire bloc.
We expect the US to honour its commitments under that joint statement, as we have honoured ours.
In addition, back in February, the U.S. Supreme Court curbed Trump's ability to slap tariffs on individual countries on a whim, leaving his threats to Spain possible, but on shaky legal ground.
At least 18 people have been wounded after a bomb went off near the Four Seasons in Damascus, the attack targeting the hotel where French president was staying, but had already left. A year after al-Sarraj's visit to Paris, the two leaders are eager to boost economic ties once again.
It's at this hotel in the Syrian capital where the French president had spent the night. Emmanuel Macron was heading to Syria's presidential palace when Tuesday's attack occurred. A year after al-Sarraj visited Paris, the two sides are eager to boost economic ties.
We stood alongside the Syrian people when they wanted unity and freedom. The European Union and France are standing with you. You know that. We were the first to begin the process of lifting sanctions.
Macron says he wants to create confidence, help restructure Syria's economy and banking sector, adding France would be a viable and predictable partner. A sentiment echoed by al-Sarraj as he positions Damascus as a transit hub for Europe.
After the Strait of Hormuz crisis that we've all witnessed this year, the world realized the value of safe and stable corridors. Here, the importance of Syrian geography is highlighted, which today has regained its vital role as an indispensable link in the global corridors market, and we want France to be our primary partner in this path.
Macron has become the first Western head of state in Syria since Bashar al-Assad was overthrown. On Monday, he visited the old part of Damascus alongside President al-Shara as the pair toured a mosque. But despite the visit's optimistic tone, Tuesday's bombings demonstrates just how precarious the security situation remains as Syria's new rulers struggle to assert control.
British anti-immigrant politician Nigel Farage announced on Tuesday he would resign as a member of parliament to run in a snap by-election in a high-stakes gamble following intense scrutiny over his finances. Now, the unusual move comes as Farage, whose Reform UK party leads the national opinion polls, faces mounting pressure over the non-disclosure of gifts, including allegedly from a convicted fraudster.
Reform UK leader Nigel Farage is forcing his constituents back to the polls. On Tuesday, Farage dramatically resigned as MP of Clacton-on-Sea, triggering a snap by-election that he himself will run in again. His goal? To send a message to Parliament, showcasing the unwavering support by his constituency, even while his financial integrity is in question. Parliamentary watchdogs are currently investigating him over an alleged £5 million given to the former MP from a billionaire crypto investor, as critics argue the gift was not properly disclosed. Farage denies any wrongdoing, calling the controversy a coordinated hit job by his political opponents.
No, I've decided that the people of Clacton should be the judges of my actions. This will be a people versus the establishment by-election. It's a chance to stick two fingers up to the entire establishment, to frankly tell them where to go.
One of the architects for Brexit in 2016, the controversial leader has become a symbol of far-right anti-establishmentarianism. While critics dismiss the stunt as a desperate attempt to escape accountability, Farage is banking on the voters of Clacton to back him once again.
Not only have more than 3,000 died in the two earthquakes that struck Venezuela, but 17,000 were injured and thousands of homes destroyed. For many of those who survived, the psychological toll is enormous. Solange Mujin has mourned the difficulty facing Venezuelans who lost everything.
Daniela Lopez lost more than just her home in Venezuela's twin earthquakes on June 24th. She lost her 4 children. While speaking to psychologists at this shelter for the displaced helps, nothing can really take away the pain.
This affects you so much. What happened is huge. It's not easy. It's hard. It's hard to lose everything in a matter of seconds. No, in 1 second. Everything. To lose them like that, so easily, so quickly. I don't know. I was there too.
A fast-moving wildfire broke out in Greece's second-largest city on July 4, forcing residents of 3 small suburbs north of the city to evacuate. The fire ignited a ravine in a mountainous area and spread quickly, with strong winds hampering efforts to contain the fire. According to the country's public broadcaster, a 76-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of starting the wildfire, as he allegedly ignited the blaze after his vehicle produced sparks.
Buildings ablaze and thick smoke billowing across the sky. After a wildfire broke out on Saturday evening in a forested area north of Thessaloniki, Greece's second-largest city.
I saw the fire the moment it started. We thought it could be brought under control in time, but it appears it has escalated.
The fire tore through 2 factories, including a recycling plant, sending toxic plumes through the city. Residents have been urged to stay indoors and to keep their windows shut because of health risks. According to the mayor of a Thessaloniki suburb, several businesses and homes have been damaged by the blaze. While small pockets of fire were doused with water, authorities could not estimate when the fire will be completely put out.
Unfortunately, it got dark and the aerial forces could not respond as they should have. Otherwise, I believe the fire would not have spread so much. We were all praying for daybreak so that the aerial firefighting forces could come and put out the fire.
Authorities say a 76-year-old man was arrested.
He's accused of having started the fire through negligence with his vehicle. Greece suffers frequent, often devastating wildfires during its hot and dry summers. Several regions, including Athens and the island of Crete, are on orange fire alert warning this weekend because of high temperatures and strong winds.
Firefighters in France are still fighting large wildfires with the blazing Pyrenees Orientalis in the south of the country, not yet fully contained, with 12,000 people evacuated. Fires are also raging in the Drôme on the island of Corsica.
It had seemed as though this fire in the south of France was under control on Monday, but it has violently flared up again. In the blink of an eye, a wall of fire several dozen metres wide began to spread, consuming the dry vegetation. 4 firefighting aircraft were urgently called in as reinforcements. Residents are anxiously watching the flames advance.
We can see that the fire is raging again, so I think we'll be spending the night elsewhere.
4 days of intense fire in the Pyrénées-Orientales region have burned nearly 5,000 hectares. Never before has a fire ravaged such a large area so early in the year. And while the situation is improving by the hour, firefighters remain on high alert. There are now 850 firefighters mobilised to tackle a vast area with a 40-kilometre perimeter.
We're facing weather conditions, notably a drought that's taking hold in the soil. And of course, we're facing difficulties along these edges because the fire is reigniting very intensely.
Across France, about 30 fires of varying sizes are active, with the highest concentration in the southeastern part of the country. In the Drôme region, this farmer is trying to slow the fire's advance with a branch. This village is completely filled with smoke. Evacuated yesterday, only firefighters are allowed to enter. In the rugged alpine mountains in these hard-to-reach areas, 1,700 hectares have already burned. 2 Canadairs have been called in as reinforcements, but they have not yet arrived. In Corsica, in the commune of Vero, a major fire is raging. 80 hectares have burned. Firefighters are trying to contain the fire as quickly as possible. They are concerned about the wind picking up again, as forecast for Wednesday.
France is sweltering under its third heat wave in less than 2 months, with temperatures set to continue rising throughout the week. Meteo France has extended its orange alert to 61 departments.
The south of France is once again sweltering in the heat. The streets of Dax are mostly deserted. The few out braving the heat find it tough.
It's very, very hot. It's unbearable.
It's a little cooler than last week when temperatures soared to 42 degrees. I reckon quite definitely that the climate is warming up.
The Landes region is already on an orange temperature alert, barely a week after the last heat wave. In her flat, Alicia is once again keeping her shutters closed.
Whenever we can, we prefer to spend time outdoors, really, partly because, after all, you don't necessarily see daylight at certain times of the day.
Monday saw high temperatures across the country. The highest was 42.7 degrees in the south, but it wasn't that much cooler in the northwest of the country. It's sweltering by the sea as well, 39 degrees in Basque Country. So first thing, volunteers visit elderly residents to make sure they're all right.
Yes, I've got water.
They close the shutters, water the plants and provide a reassuring presence.
I don't leave my house anymore. That's why I'm just stuck indoors every afternoon.
Just like in May and June, hot air is flowing in from North Africa. This air will become trapped over France over the next few days, sandwiched between 2 low-pressure systems. As if under a dome, the heat will intensify first in the south, then across the whole of France.
Temperatures overnight will also rise, meaning we can expect tropical nights from the middle of the week onwards.
Thunderstorms are expected in some areas this weekend, though it's unclear if temperatures will drop next week.
Still on the heat waves that are being experienced by France. In Bordeaux, now the thermometer hit 40 degrees Celsius this past week, and that includes in its new Ecole neighborhood. The apartment blocks are new, built to the latest standards, but inside it's like an oven, and residents have had enough.
In Bordeaux, the blazing hot sun is chasing people indoors. But in this so-called eco-neighbourhood, residents are still sweltering, with no respite from the scorching summer temperatures.
It's 33, 34 degrees at ours.
This is our third summer here. It's getting difficult. We live in the dark and open the shutters in the evening, but I've learned that's not enough.
Even at night, the temperature stays high. This mother is at her wit's end.
We have no shutters, which means that as soon as the sun rises, all the heat comes straight in. Even with the windows closed, you can still feel the blast of heat.
Yet, when building began in 2017, the Brazza eco-neighbourhood promised apartments that would stay cool in summer, with a maximum temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. An ambitious project unveiled with great fanfare at the time by Alain Juppé, the then mayor of the city, as well as the project's architect. 9 years on, those promises seem a distant memory. Valérie moved in a few months ago. Her flat is plunged in darkness all day long.
I'd like the architect to live in this flat for a year, to realize just how much is wrong with it, to realize that brown metal shutters don't insulate against the heat, and that the walls, which are made of concrete doesn't insulate against the heat.
Alban is a student living in one of the building's studio flats with just one window.
I can't catch a breeze, as I've only got one fixed window. It's not enough. On top of that, I was studying for exams, so it was a struggle.
Residents are also struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is already the third heat wave since the start of the summer.
Across Iran, families are grappling with soaring living costs as the combined weight of war, subsidy reforms and sanctions pushes basic necessities beyond the reach of many. Some Iranians had hoped foreign intervention would unseat the regime, but instead, the US-Israel war has crushed a lot of livelihoods.
Iran's ongoing economic crisis is reshaping cultural and family life, as the simple act of hosting a guest becomes too expensive for many.
I used to visit my sister's house once a week. Now I might only go once a year. You can't cook chicken or host guests anymore. And it's not just the chicken, it's the rice and the oil too.
The US-Israel war in Iran has deepened the pain. For example, just last year, 300,000 Iranian Tomans could buy 3 chickens at a local grocery store. Today, the same amount barely covers one. By that measure, the purchasing power of ordinary Iranians has collapsed to roughly a third of what it was. Wages have risen, but only by around 20% a year, and it's nowhere near enough. The country's economy was already in shambles before the war broke out. High inflation and a currency crash reignited mass protests, met with a deadly government crackdown that killed thousands, followed by a nationwide internet blackout.
Before the outbreak of the war, there was the policy of price liberalization and the removal of subsidies, which led to the elimination of the preferential currency rate for all goods. Instead, ration cards were provided to all the people of Iran. This caused inflation. After that, there were security and political issues.
This historic agreement with many of our closest friends.
World leaders are fixated on turning a fragile ceasefire into a permanent end to fighting, along with Iran's nuclear program and keeping the Strait of Hormuz open to ease the global energy crunch. But ordinary Iranians just want to make ends meet.
That is how we end our international news. We'll go for an ad break now. We have an interview for you when we return.
Attention retailers, importers, clearing agents and customs brokers. All television sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini now require mandatory ESTVA authorization before customs clearance. No clearance without valid ESTVA import permit. Don't risk delays at the border. Submit your application 24 to 48 hours before your shipment arrives. We process complete applications in just 1 to 2 working days. Our QR coded permits make the verification quick and easy. Always double check your HS codes and quantities for smooth compliance. The process is simple. Step 1. Submit your completed application form. Annex A with product line items for TVs, decoders, and commercial invoice. Step 2. Eswatini TV reviews and approves. Step 3. Make payment and complete verification. Step 4. Receive your permit. Step 5. Clear customs smoothly at the border. Make sure you have all your required documents, a completed application form, Annex A detailing your product line items, commercial invoice, valid TV retailer license, and letter of authority if applicable. Our permits feature QR codes for easy border verification. For assistance, email us at license@eswatinitv.co.sz or call our help desk. Apply before your shipment arrives. Ensure compliance and avoid delays. Remember, all TV sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini must have a valid ESTVA import permit. Thank you. Act now.
akasakhali uyaqaqamba ubona tilwane ndiyachamuka
vele angisebeli bantwana bodliwa mgudu wabo
sazama ukukhulumisana ukuthi silungisele indlela temntwana but kwangabi nekuvana kahle sagcina sengevana
wahamba kwavela-ke ukuthi umntwana akasiwa
wangishaya umkhanza anenfombi yakhe athi temina ngihambe ngekhaya kibo
lo mntwana lo wefika la ahlala ngetibunu ashesha akakwati ukukhuluma
uhleti cishe iminyaka lesihlanu kude umuntu lomhlolako
ngimthelele ingqondo ngemniki ayivula ingqondo kade ejekela ngitsele ngayo
Okay, welcome back. Young people today are navigating a world that is filled with a lot of opportunities, but there's also a lot of misinformation. There's peer pressure. There are life-changing decisions that are made in that regard, whether it's choices about health, education, careers, or relationships. The decisions made today can really, really shape tomorrow. So recognizing the need to equip young people with the right knowledge and mindset, the Nurses' Orders returns with the second edition of Lisango Nelikuma. The theme this time around is the power of choice. Joining us this morning is the founding director as well as the chairperson of the Nurses' Orders, Meluleki Ndwandwe. He's going to tell us more about the initiative, why this conversation matters now, and what the attendees can expect from this event. Ndwandwe Mnguni, Ngabengos. Thank you so much for making time this morning. A very, very important initiative. Maybe let me start by asking you, what inspired you guys to say, let's come up with Lisango Nelikuma?
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Ngumalo. As you've said, we live in a generation where there's a lot going on, you know, not just academically, there's also socially. We're also facing a lot of barriers and challenges in our personal lives on a daily basis. And for us to really be able to clearly navigate life in that sense, we need to have the skills, we need to have the mental fortitude for us to face all of these challenges that we face on a daily basis. But there is a huge but. Our society is not what it used to be. You know, back in the day, children were raised by parents, they were raised by elders. You know, we had all of these skills that we needed, we had all of these lessons that we needed to understand, to anticipate what is going to happen, and to better clearly navigate the adult life as a whole. So with the HIV pandemic as one factor and the discrepancies in society, parents are no longer at home, they're at work, they need to put something on the table. Most of the kids are left on their own. They are left with digital screens. That is where we get most of our inspiration, that is where we get most of our the lessons, you know, and those are not sufficient because those are scripted. You know, everything we see on the social media is scripted, so we need to bring back the Lisango and Likuma. That is how it came about, the Lisango and Likuma framework, so that we tackle these issues, not just issues, but issues because, you know, when we talk about issues like GBV is not one of those topics that we can really find a solution to if we are in a mixed kind of setup with females, males in the same setup. There's always that thing that you are the one to blame, you know. It's not on me, it's on you. So for us to get to the roots of these issues, it is better to bring back this cultural framework and kind of have these serious, deep discussions in an environment where everybody is relaxed and there is no, you know, pressure to defend myself, but rather sit deeply inside me and say, you know what, we are wrong as males by doing this and that. We need to face probably the anger that is pent up inside, but we are not going to admit that if we are in an environment where there are females with us, you know. So that is where it came up to tackle the issues, and also for the elders in our society to kind of pass on those teachings and skills that we need to have, that we need to be equipped with in order for us to better navigate a society and make good choices.
Yeah, well put. Very, very comprehensive and concise. I like the idea of realizing the fragmentation that persists in society, and of course coming up with a solution, and you call it the Lisango and Likuma framework, bringing it back. I think that's very important. What I love the most is the theme for this year, the power of choice. Why did you choose that as a theme, and what message are you trying to send in terms of accountability? Because you do mention that as long as we're in silos, in terms of gender silos or that fragmentation, it is hard for ourselves to be accountable. But theming it the power of choice, I think you are onto something there.
Yeah, it is themed the power of choice this year because last year we were mostly tackling, you know, the issues that I was talking about. Last year we were talking about GBV. Mostly GBV on both groups, on both gender groups, where the males came to a realization that sikhalele imicamelo imandi, and so that is one of the key factors that lead to GBV. So this year we have talked about the issues, so let us now try to change our mindset, because it starts with a choice, you know. So the power of choice is very important, not just in our social lives, as in our daily relationships, romantic relationships, or whatever other kind of relationship. It starts with a choice. If I wanna, let's say, if I wanna do something, I need to make the choice first that I want to become a doctor. You know, that is a choice. You've made a choice. Now you need to have the person to guide. You need guidance. You know, so the choice is, we see the choice as something very important. Yeah, so that is why we came up with this theme for this year, the power of choice, because now we are choosing to empower ourselves. We are choosing to move from where we were before to another level, to another level of self-understanding, understanding the next person, and then going forward with those people.
Yeah, I think another very important layer on the power of choice is the kind of choice, and that certainly informs whether what you're going to then act upon is toxic or valuable. Let's juxtapose those two terms. Why is that then important to have conversations around decision making, especially for young people in Eswatini? Is the decision that you're making toxic or valuable? That is the power of the choice that you have.
Yeah, I think you're raising a very good point, because we could make the choice to make decisions that are not good for ourselves.
And I think that's endemic right now in our society.
And most of the time we don't realize that the choices that we've made will have negative consequences. You know, we only realize it when now it's time to deal with the consequences. Hence, the need for guidance from our elders, which for the longest of time, I would say, we hadn't had that opportunity to have a sit down with them, and so that they can guide. Because a choice, for us to make a choice, it needs to be guided. It needs to be informed. So we need to make informed choices, and the only way we can make informed choices, because there is no book about life. There is no book about life. So the only book that we can read is from our elders. So that is what we are trying to do with this event. Try to gather up the people in one space and have those key figures, those people that we feel like, you know, we can actually get something from them. You know, in terms of our empowerment, confidence, because confidence is one of the key things you need to have in order for you to make a good choice. Because you can know that this is the good choice, but because of peer pressure, you can find yourself making other choices. So, yeah, you
need to be firm indeed and stoic. Thank you for that submission. I want to ask you, because you told me before the show started that you are a nursing student, and this is also called the nurse's orders, Lisango Nelikuma. As a nursing professional, what are some of the health challenges as well as social challenges that are facing young people today?
Well, the obvious, because health is not just, because the thing that we normally do is look at health as a physical thing. Health is not merely physical, you know. There are pillars to health. There are 5 pillars to health. We have the physical, we have the mental, we have the intellectual, we have the spiritual, and the social. So mostly as healthcare practitioners, we mostly look at the physical and the mental and forget the social and all the other ones. So I would say that one thing that is mostly faced with the youth right now is depression. The youth is depressed on so many levels. So many levels. That is the one thing. That is one key thing that I've noted as a healthcare, as a student, nursing student, is that the youth is depressed, very depressed. And when you go to the clinical setting, the friend would say, not really going deep to say, are you okay? Because that is one of the questions that we need to ask. Are you okay? Not just physically, and everything, but are you okay? You know, and really speak to you, not to your physical body, but we really need to look past the physical symptoms that we normally complain about, and just face the person as they are, which will also inform their social. Because once you are mentally you are not okay, you cannot be okay socially. Spiritually, you will be affected as well. So these mental health, I wouldn't say problems, I would say challenges that we face on a daily basis, you know, as the youth, they weigh heavily on our mental health. So the youth of Eswatini is very depressed, and we are not saying, we may see it through our actions that these people are depressed. These people are really depressed. So that is one thing that is mostly faced with the youth of Eswatini. And we are hoping through Lisango Nelikuma, because it is not a one-day thing. We are hoping to tackle all, if not all, but most of these challenges that is mostly faced by the youth of Eswatini. Yeah.
You mentioned that a lot of our young people are consumed by digital platforms.
Yeah.
A lot of screen time. And on the other hand, there's not sufficient leadership like when we were growing up, or when our brothers and older siblings and our parents were growing up, because it has been on a decline for a very long time, that social fabric leadership that used to be there. And I see how too much screen time, these digital platforms have spread a lot of misinformation, which can lead to all the things that you mentioned, the depression and all of that. How can young people then distinguish credible health information from misleading content? And I want to make an example for COVID-19. One of my friends said, hey, everyone's a doctor now. Just like in the World Cup, everyone can be a referee. Everyone's teaching us about rules now. But during COVID, everyone was telling us, don't use a mask. Someone else was saying, use a mask. Someone else was saying, sanitizers don't really help. So how do we then distinguish between credible information and misleading content?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think that is you're raising a very good point. Social media has corrupted almost everything, because there is no way of filtering the content that we receive on our phones on a daily basis. I think it would be up to that individual really to know the credible places to get credible information. Because I can say I can stay at home and just go to my phone and type anything, but following the World Health Organization, everybody knows that information that comes through from pages of the World Health Organization, that information is credible. Following the Ministry of Health, that information is credible. I think we just need to discipline ourselves as the people we shouldn't consume everything. Let everybody speak, let everybody say whatever they want to say, but know where to get the right information. I think that would be the first step, knowing where to get the right information. It's like everything that we do in our daily lives. You know where to get something. If I want to get a smartphone, I know where I can get a credible smartphone, Lingavuleki licingo it's a Samsung, but sekuvela tandla Nokia, so those type of things. We just need to know the credible places to get that information that we need. The nurses' orders, not as the nurses' orders, we did some time back notice that there is misinformation, and so we started, because the nurses' order started as as some sorts of health education online. So we opened up Facebook pages. That is where we teach Nazi on a daily basis topics. So you just need to follow those people that that will feed me credible information.
Yeah, it's very important. I want you to tell us about Lisangona Likuma 2026. What can attendees expect from the program in terms of speakers and some of the topics that will be discussed?
Okay. This year we have a very interesting, I would say, panel of speakers. Attendees can expect nothing but the best, because the lineup, we have the likes of Mr. Clement Dlamini, who is a lecturer at the University of Eswatini Ngwaluseni. We have we have Mr. Mfundo Dlamini, who is the director of Gentleman's Talk. Then we have the Minister of ICT, Savannah Mazia, who will be talking to the ladies of Kumeni. Then the two gentlemen will be talking to Emachita, Esangweni. So basically this time around, because the theme for the whole event is the power of choice, but we have sub themes for the gents. It's GBV through a man's perspective, along with the power of choice. Then with the ladies, it's women empowerment, women independence and empowerment. Yeah.
Why those topics?
Because we chose those topics specifically because for the ladies, everybody is talking about women empowerment, but women empowerment basically it's not just what we usually hear, because it's most of the time equated to equality and equity. So we just wanna make sure that these topics are really understood by the ladies.
So it's more than just equality and equity.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying, and
Yeah.
bringing in Minister Savannah, who has, and you said earlier, experience is very important. Learning from people who have walked the walk, they can certainly talk the talk. Yeah. So Savannah is the rightful person there.
Is the rightful person because of her accolades, and also she's a champion of women empowerment, youth empowerment. So we felt like, if we could just hear what she has to say, if she could just impart a little bit of her wisdom on us, and also of what to expect as the youth and as females, because the environments are not the same. We don't want just to be empowered so that we could thrive in Eswatini. We want to have that figure who has thrived even beyond the borders of Eswatini. So the minister is one role model for most ladies and gentlemen as well. Absolutely. It's a pity that she will be talking to the ladies only, but they will definitely get something from her.
Yeah. And on the other hand, you have Mfundo Dlamini,
yes,
and Clement Dlamini from UNESWA. Yeah. Why is it important for men to speak about gender-based violence from their perspective and the power of choice?
Yes. It's because, as I said earlier at the start of the show, that GBV mostly, when we start talking about GBV, it's you did something. It's not me, you did something, So we just want to understand it now, not as perpetrators, but as people who've probably been victims of GBV ourselves, So we just want to understand now from the man's perspective, what are the men saying? When they are sitting on their own, what are they saying? So that we could find constructive ways of battling with the GBV.
Yeah, there's been a lot of criticism around motivational talks. That there is a vacuum for sustainability of the lessons, the knowledge that is imparted in those sessions. And so there's been questions around how do we then ensure that having listened to Minister Savannah and being inspired in that moment and being fueled up, that I do not feel that burn go down as the day goes by. How do I continue to practicalize that in my daily life?
That is a very, very valid point you were raising. I think that it also boils down to the choices that we make. Yeah, because for me to be motivated and feel all jovial and I also need to make a conscious decision. Make a conscious decision, have a mental image of where I want to see myself.
Sure.
Yeah. Once I have that mental image of where I want to see myself, then I need to work towards that image. I think it's mostly change of the mindset. Once you change the mindset, then there is nothing that you cannot do. So I think those who will be attending, the attendees, shouldn't come with the mindset of saying, I want to be, uplifted for the day. But I should go there wanting to get nuggets of how to achieve or reach and be the person that I have imagined myself to be. So I think
very important.
I think that it's the mental fortitude. we need to have the mental fortitude, the mental strength to strive, to work towards who we want to be after getting the motivation, because the motivation will tell you that we have done it. You can done it as well. You can do it too. So I need to know that at the back of the mind, whatever challenge comes my way, I need to have those people, those figures that they did it. Why can't I do it too? So we are hoping that that is what the attendees will get from the event.
Absolutely. Here's my suggestion. The people that attend this very, very important initiative should be asked the question after the program. What are your biggest needs right now? What are your biggest challenges? But also, what do you believe can solve your challenges? The nurse's orders, fortunately, has more access than these people. If the nurse's orders was able to get Minister Savannah to come and speak there at Clement and Mfundo, surely the nurses, with a framework of database of these people registered and having known their needs, you can try and create linkages and connect them with people who can help remedy some of these issues. It may not be all of them, but if a Sifiso attends and the Sifiso says, it has been my dream to have a moment with Mfundo, and I need him to assist me with this, then you're able to facilitate that for those people, and that comes back to your database. I think what you're building is very important, but there's always room for improvement, and seeing the work that you're doing, the sky is the limit, and perhaps the question there is, where do you see the nurses' orders in the next 5 years, seeing as the momentum that it has caught over the past couple of year and a half?
Okay, well, in the next 5 years, we see, because the nurses' orders has a very big dream. The nurses' orders, we are nurses who want to maintain and elevate the standard of the profession. I think most nurses will definitely know that line from the oath that we take, but we want to practicalize it. In the sense that we want to be leaders in digital health transformation. So in the next 5 years, we hope and pray that we would have realized our dream. We would have been the custodians of health, and we would have been continuing to be leaders in the digital health space, because that is our dream. We wanna reach the people where Eswatini right now has challenges with isolated communities where people have to walk like 20 kilometers to get to the health facility, but there is an internet connection, right? So why not use our digital means to get to the people even before things complicate. So that is what we want to do as the nurses' orders. We want to venture into telemedicine. We want to be the leaders in the digital health space. So hopefully by then, because the organization is still at its infancy stages, even our website is still at its infancy stages, but hopefully in the coming years, we would have realized this dream. We would have been able to penetrate those communities, those isolated communities, and deliver the help that the people need.
Yeah. Ndwando, before I let you go, for someone who is watching the show this morning, it is a beautiful Friday morning. Someone is watching and you have sparked their interest in attending Lisango Nelikuma. Convince that person or speak to that person who is still undecided about attending the event. Where is the event? When is it? Why should they attend? Briefly.
The event is going to be at UNESCO Mbabane campus from 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. As to why you should attend, I think everything has been said, but the person that we want to attend is a person who wants to be transformed. a person who wants the nuggets, who wants to get that bit of a fuel to keep on going, a person who doesn't want to be held back by societal challenges that we face on a daily basis as youth, because the youth is faced with a lot of challenges, and those challenges might make us not to be able to realize our dreams, and we might not be able to realize the people we are meant to be.
Yeah.
So if you still want to be that person who you want to be, if you still want not just to succeed, because sometimes success is underrated. You know, I can have money, but I may not be where I imagined myself. You know, so attend this event if you want personal growth. You want to realize yourself. You want to realize your dreams. You want to basically have no regrets.
Ngoni, thank you so much for your time. He has invited you and has reminded you that it's happening today from 2 to 5 p.m.
Yes.
Am I correct, at UNESCO? Thank you so much for your time, empowering young people, the power of choice. Lisango Nelikuma, we've come to the end of our program today. We hope that as you cap off the week, you get empowered by Mdulegi's Nuggets and you attend the event, and that you have a restful weekend. And we'll see you again next week, Monday. Goodbye.
Mswano inkosi ithula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yotenza bakhe wone akayithathe
the day you take Christ into your life, you begin to walk in a blessing.
Emaswati master ushiya simakazi sibukela abanye bonkulunkulu uNkulunkulu tawukhwesha kithi emaswati singamlahli uNkulunkulu
sitomdumisa sisho sithi uyigwele somali
mase ubutholile lobungcwele hlala ungilongcwele.
Ningesabi nimaswati, this is our season. Nguye idolo, nguye namhla, nguye nakusasa.
Livika lisho kona ukuthi sekufike leso sikhathi lengisithanda kakhulu sekuhlala nawo umumbukelo welihlelo lelithi siyakudumisa sesingenile kulolu hlelo nalomhla enzambama. Ngithokozela nje ukuthi namuhla ulithethe leli thuba lekuhlala nami siwondle umphefumulo sidle livi laNkulunkulu sikhule kumatini uNkulunkulu sikhule empilweni ngoba livi laNkulunkulu lisikhulisa inhlangothi tonke lo mhlanje ehlelweni sitabe silaphe kwaLuseni la sithathola khona libandla leJC iJordan Church in Zion la sithathola khona wena umbishop Sipho Katembe asipha lona livi laNkulunkulu kanti ke lo mhlanje na ke ehlelweni ngakumema uthi hlala phansi ubuye phansi ongibaba ongumaka ongumntwana ulalelisise ngoba namhlanje nesitabe sikhuluma ngayo inhloko elikhaya sikhuluma ngaye baba ukuthi umgcoka kangakanani indvodza ikhona ekhaya ikhona ebandleni ikhona nasemangweni ngako ke sihlaleni phansi silalele uNkulunkulu asilungisise emakhaya ethu asicondzisa ukuthi funa siphile kanjani kakhulu singemadvodza kakhulu sihlelisene nabomake emakhaya ngingachithi isikhathi sichubana nalo hlelo sithole konke lokubuya kuye uNkulunkulu asichubeke nalo hlelo.
Sibuyise ngoba